All right, if you have been disappointed with Mitsubishi for the past years or decades and think that they've been building them down to a price point, down to a payment plan, and everything has been a little bit worse than the previous one, well, this car may be an absolute revelation to you. This car may change your mind about how good Mitsubishi can be, because, well, it's actually a Nissan. All right, welcome back to All Cars, y'all. My name is John, and I am here in absolute beautiful, well, I'm in the parking lot in Seattle, Washington. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. This is my second or third time here, and we rented a car while we've been here, and this has given me 4 days of driving this car and really appreciating it more than, well, just a test drive would have done. And I've gone from liking it to really, really liking it. But this car has a couple of flaws that would absolutely keep me from buying it. It's got a few other little things that drive me up the wall, but two things that really, really, really dislike. But let's get into it. The first thing is I want to talk about the styling. So this is based on the Nissan Rogue, and Mitsubishi has done a good job making it not look like a complete Rogue copy. Even at the back and along the side, it looks distinctive. Now, I dislike the nose of it. And I could be very critical saying that Mitsubishi, they need to fire all their stylists. But I'm going to tell you what, if you've been thinking about this, spend some time with it, because this has grown on me. What looks horrible in pictures, I mean, truly repulsive to my eyes in pictures, it's grown on me. And I don't think it's beautiful, and I don't think it's elegant. I don't think it's upscale, but it is growing on me, okay? Also, it's worth mentioning, this is a plug-in hybrid, which has given me a whole interesting experience. So this is not just a Nissan engine, this is actually a Mitsubishi Powertrain, and this is a 2023 model with about 57,000 miles on it, so it's got some miles under it as well. What's interesting is, because Nissan didn't have a plug-in hybrid, they actually took this car with this styling, made it a Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid, which is only going to last for, I believe, 1 year until they cancel it and bring in Nissan's own hybrid technology as well. So Mitsubishi's actually feeding it back up. But there's a lot to like about this car, a tremendous amount. We're going to start with the outside, look at the inside, we're going to take a look at the engine, and then I'm going to tell you kind of what I really, really don't like about it. So along the side here, it looks really good, and this thing is really well equipped overall, pretty impressively so. So of course it's got, I swipe my foot underneath here, and the hatch rises up. One of the things that is a key to the Mitsubishi Outlander is they have, let's turn this way towards the sun, is that they have provided a third row. So we've got a relatively compact, smaller than mid-size SUV, but they have provided a third row. Now, as you can imagine, it's worthless. So if your children have legs bigger than about 4 or 5 inches, they're never going to be able to put their feet down right there. But it is something for Mitsubishi dealers to talk about and say, we have this and no one else does. If you're looking at the CR-V or the RAV4 or something like that. Back here, we've got pretty good space. If you're putting luggage in here, which we did, or you're putting groceries back here, it's pretty good space behind this third row seat. And of course, there's the charging cable. Fold the rear seat down, you've got pretty good space, and then you can fold down that second row as well and get something like, I think it's like 61 cubic feet of space back here. But we just roll it, lay it down right here, and have just left it like this the entire time we've been driving it, just to have this little cubby right here. Also, another thing that I thought was kind of cool is they not only give you a handle right there, but they also give you you can press the lock button and it'll lock everything and shut the hatch for you at the same time. Super, super cool. Let's take a look inside at the back seat. This is a really nice place to spend time. You saw I was talking about here, what I was showing you on the door is it's got nice, soft, leatherish stuff here, a quilted pattern down below, more soft touch right here, kind of a faux carbon fiber in front of it, then a little bit of bright work up in here. It's a really nice place, and this quilted leather fabric as well. Space-wise, it's pretty darn good. Now the seat, the front seat actually is not set where I sit, because when you get out, it moves back a little bit to ease your egress. So this is a little further back than I would normally sit, but I can still put my fist between my knee and the front seat, which is pretty good space. And I also want to point out, when auto manufacturers have been really penny pinching their way into interiors recently, to the point of removing the pockets on the back of the front seats, look at this. Mitsubishi is giving you that, or Nissan, on the back of both front seats, 3 different pockets. And you've got heated seats back here, a control for the AC, and vents back here for the back seat as well. Really nice place to spend some time. So the engine is a 2.4 liter engine. The battery is about 20 kilowatt hours, and it gives you about roughly 38 miles at full charge, 38 miles of all electric range. This 2.4 liter is a Mitsubishi design, and altogether you end up with, in the 2023 model, I think it's about 248 horsepower. The newer versions have around 297, so feel even peppier than this does, but I'll talk about the driving dynamics here in a minute. Overall, it's an engine. There's a battery in there, and somewhere there's stuff doing electric stuff too. But I've got to rave about this. This car has got fantastic smoothness in switching between the different power options. Take a look here. So I've driven a lot of hybrids, and all of them have one thing in common, and they're super cool technology. They're smooth, they're so fuel efficient, but they always have that one thing of, you know, when you're sitting there and the engine's gonna kick on, that shudder you feel. You do not get it with this powertrain option. If it's electric, if it's engine only, when they switch between it, whatever's driving the wheels, there's absolutely, you cannot tell from the driver's seat or from the passenger seat what is going on up front. It's just happening seamlessly. Very, very impressive. In terms of the actual power this thing does, well, let's put it this way. Around town, it's pretty peppy. The electric motors and that torque give you a little bit of oomph, and it's got really quick steering, and it's got really, really touchy brakes, so it's pretty good around town. And under certain situations, when you really get into the gas, it feels peppy, but the faster it is, it starts to feel a little gutless, especially if you're in that 60 mile an hour range and you're trying to accelerate to pass somebody. It's a little weak, just a little tiny bit. I don't want to be overly critical about it, because I do run this in the eco mode, trying to get the most fuel economy out of it, which I have to say is, if you look at the dashboard, I do get about 30.1 miles per gallon overall out of this over the past 4 days. All right, that being said, let's take a look inside, and I'll continue raving about this car and more about how it rides. Okay, there's no way to beat around the bush here. This is one of the nicest interiors in this category. If you're looking at a RAV4, or you're looking at a CR-V, or I'm gonna argue even some of the Mazdas, and then you sit in this is a true different class up from all of those, even though it's playing in the same field. This is a much nicer interior than its competitors. Period, full stop. Now there's a couple of real highlights here that I want to go into. The first is the display in front of me. It's big, it's clear, it's obvious what's going on, and it's a little flexible in the center part what you want to show. I'm a big fan of the power flow and where everything is going and where it's coming from. So that's a big thing. I'd like to say this has automatic headlights. It has automatic windshield wipers, which, wow, that's a revelation to use the first time. Also, down below, we do get a real gear shift selector, not a stupid knob or not a lever up here on the dashboard somewhere. So you do get a terrain changer down here where you can go from eco to pavement to power to tarmac, whatever it is. I've really just left it on eco the whole time. And the gear shifter, nice and compact. In fact, I would argue that Mitsubishi didn't really know what to do with all the space down here, but in front of it, they have given you a little area that does do wireless charging as well. There's a problem with that though. You have to lay your phone down sideways. They didn't make it deep enough to actually slide your phone in. The other thing I'll say is they actually give you far, far too many options here. So while I'm driving, behind the steering wheel, there's actually paddles. So there's three things to make you aware of here. First off is when you shift it into drive, there's also a B rating. And that's your braking. So just like an electric vehicle, as you slow down or go down a hill, whatever, you can take some of that energy that the car is inputting into the motor and pump it back into the battery. Well, on the back of the steering wheel, we have two paddles which also change the regenerative braking in the car. And it's very powerful in here. It is, I was going down what was essentially a mountain and I could make the regenerative braking so strong, it would bring this car to almost a halt. Once it gets to 9 miles an hour, it lets up a little bit and will coast around 5 or 4 miles an hour. Unbelievably powerful, but it makes the experience of driving it extremely jerky. If you're on the gas and you release it, it goes into regeneration immediately and your head bobs all the time. My wife and I both agreed we're going to leave it on normal because it is that uncomfortable. But then they give you a third button, which is really fascinating, and it's over here. It's the EV button. The one next to it is like a intellectual pedal button or something like that. Changes how the pedal functions. So I think it makes it more of a pure EV driving experience where you let off of it and it eases into regenerative braking. But with the EV button, you actually can change how it's going to, is it going to charge, is it going to be normal? Is it going to save the battery pack? Is it going to charge the battery pack? How is it going to use the engine? And unfortunately, I found that to be just like the regenerative braking, putting it onto charging, which I don't understand how that's different than regenerative braking, but it's how the computer is using the motors and the engine together with the wheels. What is its goal? What is its objective? Made it an extremely jerky drive. And so driving this is really, it rides fantastic. And it's extremely quiet. I did run my decibel meter one time at 55 miles an hour, and we were getting somewhere around 70 to 71 decibels. It's quieter than it sounds because during this trip, also had a chance to be in other vehicles like a RAV4, which is substantially noisier than this thing. This is, compared to some of its competitors, practically a luxury car. It's not, okay, it's not a Land Rover, but it is that nice of a car. It's really fantastic. It rides super smooth. It's quiet. It's wonderful. Gets great gas mileage. And again, I want to rave about the powertrain and how smooth it is in transitioning between all its modes. And One more thing I have to rave about here, it has buttons. So unlike many manufacturers which have gone to a screen and then put in no buttons, everything is buried in there, or used capacitive buttons like Volkswagen like to do, Nissan or Mitsubishi here, because this is largely a Nissan interior, they kept buttons. Look here at the infotainment. Real physical buttons and real physical knobs. And below it, we've got the automatic dual zone HVAC with, you guessed it, real buttons and real knobs. And yeah, heated seats up front too. Two other things about this that I'd like to point out. First is it does have blind spot monitoring, which is super handy. However, it is an example of what other things have been going on with this car. Specifically, it has a system that doesn't work quite as you expect. In this case, it'll give you one when there's something actually in your blind spot, but it'll also give you a warning when it's absolutely not necessary because there's just a huge truck right next to you that you can see. The other thing is that on the map and on the dashboard, it will actually, I've got a setting in here, it'll actually pull up what the road sign is, and on the speedometer, it will tell you what the speed limit is, and it'll put a little mark on the speedometer for where the speed limit actually is. So when you're cruising along, and certainly in an area like I am where I'm not familiar with it, and the speed keeps changing, I can just glance over here or down in front of me and say, oh, well, I'm in a 40 zone, I'm in a 25 zone, I'm in a 55 zone. It's been absolutely fantastic. One of our cars at home has it, and I never use it, but here, Nissan or Mitsubishi has put it right where I look all the time, so I'm constantly noticing it. Fantastic setup. I absolutely adore it. And wait, there's more. The armrest. It's not a huge amount of space in there, but it's got some nice space, nice storage space there, and it's nicely softly covered with this same kind of leather. This ends up being a not sporty vehicle. Okay, very important. That soft ride I talked about for its size means this is not sharp handling. This has not got race car-like handling. But if you're looking for something that's a little more sedate than what many manufacturers are trying to do typically with their cars, this is super. This is incredible, and I've enjoyed almost everything about it for these days. So with all that being said, surely this means it is a runaway success, and I have finally uncovered a real diamond in the rough. Gotta let a train go by. Yay. Have I uncovered that Mitsubishi has built one of the best small compact SUVs that's gonna beat the Mazdas, the Hondas, the Toyotas that are out there without hesitation? Well, unfortunately, no. There is several things that are kind of annoying about the car, but you maybe can live with, and two things that are that absolutely kill it for me, would keep me from purchasing this car, paying my own money for it. And here they are. All right, the first is, and some of these are going to seem very nitpicky to you until you actually have to do it, and then you're going to realize how frustrating this is. The first one is the space between your body, the armrest, and where the belt buckle is supposed to go. It is really deep down there, which means when you put the belt buckle on, you've got to grab it and push it down there without being able to see anything, and you're going to miss it at least 50% of the time. Also, the actual adjuster, this piece is so thick that when you go to release it later, you hit this instead of the actual button. It sounds silly until you do it for 4 days and suddenly you hate it. The other thing is this is automatic seats. And when I shut the door, that's the amount of space I have to get to the controls for the automatic seats. My wife also mentioned how tight this was, and it's very, very uncomfortable. This one I forgive for one simple reason. Once you get it dialed in, you can set it so you can always just come back to it. And it is worth mentioning, if you see this, when I open the door, It actually moves the seat back just a little bit to help me get out. I like this a lot. So those two things are on the nitpicky side, but they're worth mentioning. It shows a slight lack of attention to detail, I believe. Let's go on with other things. I mentioned earlier the brakes. They are extremely touchy. They're electronically boosted, it feels like. They are extremely touchy, so at moderate speeds, you tap them and you feel a jerk, and then it's just a slow, gentle slow down. They work fine, but it is a little jerky and overly sensitive. Same thing for the steering. Now, this car is relatively loaded, like I said, so we do have collision detection. We have lane change avoidance. We've got smart radar. We've got all that other stuff in here. It's amazing what it has. But the steering specifically is so overboosted with so little feel, the car wanders. And it's not because it's wandering, it's because you never know how much to adjust the steering wheel. This may sound ridiculous to you, but it has been an ongoing issue that it is so quick that it works great around town in a parking lot like this, but you turn it and there's no feel and no sense of how much input you've really given it, and then you just kind of have to crank it for a little while. The end result is that at low speeds around town or at high speeds, you're constantly having to adjust the steering wheel to keep it going straight, and it always seems to either not be enough or to be too much. The lane change warning system, whatever the heck it's called here, went off constantly for me driving around here at every speed possible, because you'd be driving along and it would be wandering off to one side and you'd have to try to correct. Even worse is the system is very poorly calibrated. It would either warn me too far in advance because I wasn't actually close to the line and I was already correcting, or I would be over the line in a rumble strip before it would actually be like, oh hey, lane change avoidance maneuver, worry. It's very, very poorly dialed in. Not the end of the world, and it's reassuring to have all of these different safety features here that we can look at and see. But not all of them are working fantastic. I don't know what else to say about that. The next thing is maps, okay? Looking at the infotainment here, I don't know if you see that delay or not. That's the best it's been in 4 days. We actually ended up going with, this does have Apple CarPlay. We did end up going with CarPlay. The first time we got in, the first night we got in, you would touch it, move it, and there was a good 2 to 3 second wait before it would change. The built-in navigation here is so bad that if you enter a destination, it'll show the little triangle of where you are, but it wouldn't adjust the map. So if your triangle ran off the map and you're still going to wherever you're trying to get to, it would never move the map. It would just let you disappear until you physically went and found yourself and followed yourself. Switching to Apple CarPlay fixed almost all the issues we had with the built-in screen, operating system, and navigation. But it is worth mentioning, in 2026, this is a 2023 car, but in 2026, this level of delay and really poor responsiveness is unacceptable. I don't talk about infotainment a lot. I don't go on and on about how slow they are, who has the best screen and things like that. I don't go on about all that, but in this particular case, it's truly was terrible for us until we used Apple CarPlay. But that's almost forgivable too. So which brings me to the last, which is the deal killer on this car, because this is relatively expensive, brand new, and I like almost everything about it, but there's one thing that would keep me from actually putting my own money down. And I've got to say one more positive thing here. This steering wheel is super thick. And I even like the center of it with the Mitsubishi logo. This thing is pretty awesome. The steering wheel is pretty awesome, but there's one thing that just this car ruins it for me. And it's these seats. It's this right here. It's got leather, and the leather actually feels kind of soft. It's got this pattern, okay? I mentioned earlier, they're heated. Seems like a nice place. Well, initial opinion was wrong. When I got in here, I thought these were pretty comfortable. Felt a little Germanic in how firm they were. However, after driving it for a while, these are as flat and as hard as a church pew. The leather feels more like General Motors vinyl from the 1970s, and that pattern and stitching that looks so good will actually map right through your pants and into the back of your legs. These are the most uncomfortable seats I have ever driven since like a 2013 Honda Civic. Over multiple days, I thought maybe I was just being overreacting. If you drive this car for 45 minutes to an hour at a time, these seats will physically hurt you. Your legs will ache and you will be begging to just get out and stand up for a little while. They're that bad. So here we have a car with a fantastic powertrain that I love. Maybe it's not the most fuel efficient plug-in hybrid in the world, but it is fantastically smooth. A great interior filled with really soft touch materials. It's very nice to spend time in. I haven't even talked about the Yamaha. I believe it has a Yamaha audio system in here. Sounds fantastic once you crank it up. Good space. Everything about this loaded with features, more than anything I've gotten to either one of our cars at home. But I wouldn't buy it because of the seats. If I was interested in this, I would honestly have to consider just the gas version, which is much slower and much thirstier, with cloth seats, because I think they would make the difference. And that's how I feel about it. So that's my quick review on the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander, a car that has darn near changed my opinion of what Mitsubishi is doing right now, except for the fact it's really just a Nissan Rogue, but with a Mitsubishi powertrain. Makes me wonder what the Nissan hybrid is going to end up being like. That might be the answer I'm looking for. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know any questions below. I'll try to help you as I can, but I appreciate you watching this with me. Thanks, y'all.